You know how it is. You pour all this time and energy, maybe even days, into creating a piece of content. And once it's out there in the world, that little question starts nagging at you. Is anyone actually paying attention? Well, today we're going to figure out how to answer that. Not with a gut feeling, but with cold, hard data. Right? You hit that publish button, your work is officially live, and then what? Sometimes it feels like silence. That moment is just filled with this one giant question mark. Is this thing I made actually working? Is it connecting with people? Is it persuading them? Or is it just kind of floating out there in the digital void? So here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to talk about why this matters so much in the first place. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty and decode the key metrics. We'll start with engagement and clicks, then move on to conversions and reach. And to wrap it all up, we're going to look at all this data in a totally new way, as a conversation you're having with your audience. All right, section 1. Why should you even bother with all these numbers and charts? I mean, really, it's because this is about so much more than just counting likes to make yourself feel good. This is about being smart. This is about strategy. See, when you really start measuring your content, you unlock 4 huge benefits. First, you get to optimize your strategy, right? You see what's working and you do more of that. It's that simple. Second, you can actually prove your return on investment, showing that your efforts aren't just creative, they're effective. Third, and this is a big one, you start to genuinely understand your audience on a much deeper level. And finally, you build credibility because you can point to real-world impact from your work. Okay, so let's dive into the metrics themselves. The very first, most immediate layer of feedback you can get is all about interaction. Are people just passively scrolling past your content, or are they actually doing something with it? We throw this word engagement around all the time, but what is it really? Well, it's the proof that your message isn't just being seen, it's being felt. It's that first solid sign that you're building a real connection, that something you said actually landed. And what's so cool about this is that not all engagement is the same. Each action tells you a completely different story. A like? That's a quick nod, and I see you. A share is way more powerful. That's a personal recommendation. A comment means you actually made someone stop and think. And a save? Come on, that's the ultimate compliment. It means your content is so useful, they want to keep it for later. Next up, we've got the click-through rate, or CTR. This is where we start to measure intent. It's the percentage of people who were so compelled by what you put out there that they just had to take the next step. A high CTR is proof that your headline, your image, your whole hook, it worked. It earned that click. Okay, so we're moving on from those first interactions to something more tangible. These next few metrics are what connect our content directly to actual business goals. They also help us answer the big question, just how far did our message travel? And that brings us to what, for many people, is the holy grail, the conversion. This is it. This is when someone does the exact thing you hoped they do. They make a purchase, they sign up for your newsletter, they download the file. A conversion is that magic moment your content stops being just content and starts creating direct, measurable value. And this lays out the journey perfectly. It all starts with your content and a really clear call to action. That click, the thing we measure with CTR, that's the critical middle step. And the final destination? That's the conversion, the successful completion of the goal. You can see how each step is totally dependent on the one that came before it. Now, let's quickly clear up something that trips a lot of people up. Reach versus impressions. Just think of it like this. Reach is the number of unique people who saw your stuff. If 100 different people saw your post, your reach is 100. Simple. Impressions, on the other hand, is the total number of times it was seen. So if some of those 100 people saw it 2 or 3 times, your impressions might be, say, 150. Both numbers are super useful for understanding just how visible you are. Okay, we've covered the what and the how. We've got the metrics down, but for this last section, let's just zoom out for a second and talk about the why. What's the big unifying idea that ties all of these numbers together? This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Measuring isn't about counting for the sake of counting. It's about understanding. It's about seeing the impact your message is having on real, live human beings. It's about turning all that data into a real dialogue. So to really get this, let's go a little old school and look at a classic communication theory called the Shannon-Weaver model. It's pretty simple. A source sends a message through a channel to a receiver. For us, you're the source, the social media platform is the channel, and your audience is the destination. But here's the thing. This original model is missing something absolutely critical for us as creators.
Because every single one of those metrics we just talked about, every like, every share, every click, every single conversion, they're not just numbers on a dashboard. They are your audience's feedback. This is the whole point. Every metric is a signal being sent back to you, closing that communication loop. So what can you do with this feedback? Well, basically everything that matters. You can finally verify that your message was actually received. You can measure how people really, truly reacted to it. And maybe most importantly, you now have concrete information to adjust your strategy and make your next piece of content even more powerful. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you open up your analytics, don't just see numbers. Try to see a conversation. Your audience is talking to you. The only question is, what are they saying and how are you going to respond?